Hello, everybody. It's your friendly digital technology librarian, Christy here. And as we have reached yet another Friday, you know what that means. I have yet another Film Rec Friday ready for everybody out there. Um, if you're anything like me, around this time of year every year, you're probably getting a little bit sick of winter. Um, yeah, I just really hate the cold and I really hate snow. Uh, but this week, I really kind of wanted to turn my outlook around. So, what I did was I watched a ton of films and documentaries that sort of focused on really cold regions of the globe, on people who lived in those regions, on, the wildlife that's available around there, and surprisingly, I feel a little bit better about the season. I mean, yes, of course, I still want sun and I still want to be able to go to my mailbox without wearing 6 layers of coats and sweaters, but I'm not quite as grumpy about it being chilly as I was prior to these films. So, if you are looking for documentaries or films that will really show the beauty and incredible majesty of cold regions, if you're looking for stories about people who live in these really challenging areas of the globe, these recommendations for this week might be right up your alley. The cinematography in every single one of these films is extraordinary. So if you love beautifully shot film, 100% you should be checking these out. So, as with every week, all of these film recommendations are available totally for free with the use of your Milan-Berlin library card. And they are available on our 3 video services, which of course are CleveNet Overdrive, Hoopla Digital, and Canopy. So, without any further ado, I want to go ahead and jump into those recs. So, please enjoy. All right, our first couple of recommendations are going to be from CleveNet Overdrive, and the very first of those is for a Werner Herzog film called Happy People, A Year in the Taiga. Now, I'm a huge Herzog fan in general. He's the filmmaker behind Grizzly Man. He has an incredible eye for making documentaries, and his sensibilities are such that when you see his name attached to any project, you know you're going to get something really viscerally affecting. And that's exactly what I got with this particular documentary that I didn't expect to get, honestly, because it just, when I first read about it, I was just sort of like, well, I'm looking for recommendations for this week. Maybe this one will work out. I absolutely loved this documentary. Um, so, Happy People, A Year in the Taiga follows this incredible faction of people who choose to live deep in the Siberian wilderness. In today's age, you would think that no one would want to be a part of this sparse, desolate landscape that's, you know, full of nothing but really snow and ice. I mean, that's not my idea of the perfect homeland. And then while I'm watching this documentary, I keep seeing these glimpses of real beauty and, majesty that you 100% will not see anywhere else. It was honestly very eye opening. And, we get caught up in these stereotypes of like, what is Siberia? And, it's in some ways there's truth to those pieces. Like, you will see shots of the landscape where there's nothing but snow and ice as far as your eye can see. Like, it's just this sheet of endless clean pure snow, but it doesn't feel barren. I mean, if it does, there's like a beauty to it. This film does an exceptional job of sort of wrapping you in that kind of juxtaposition of desolation with majesty and beauty. It just does such an incredible job of grabbing your attention. And the people that you meet when they are interviewing different um, folks who are living in this landscape, they're fascinating. Like the ties to the land that they have, the ties to their families and their ancestors, and it's just really, really fascinating. It focuses on like this very small village named Bakhtia. And it's just runs right along the river Yenisei. And they're just an extraordinary, extraordinary group of people. They find joy and happiness in this region that we are told by social commentary is like you're being sent to Siberia. I mean, like there's so many like negative connotations to it, and there's not to these people. Um, Herzog narrates the vast majority of the film. He I just really enjoy his voice. He's got this slight accent that I don't know why, but it makes everything feel very authentic, which makes no sense, but I absolutely love him. And the way he speaks, he's such a fascinating storyteller. It feels like you're sitting around a fire and you're just listening to him pull you into this world that you never imagined before. Um, so if you're looking for a gorgeously filmed documentary that really dives into the lives of this small clan of people, that will 100% sort of spin maybe some of your preconceived notions about a particular region, this is definitely one to check out. As Herzog films tend to be, it's honestly on-screen magic. So yes, for stunning visual shots, for fantastic narration, for just an overall thoroughly compelling story, please check out Happy People, A Year in the Taiga. Excellent, excellent, excellent documentary. Um, Another really quick recommendation from CleveNet is called Wonders of the Arctic. Now, this one is, it feels much more like a National Geographic documentary than this big, expansive film uh, styled like a Herzog movie would. It's definitely straight to the point. It sort of follows the efforts of a large number of scientists and explorers and researchers as they, immerse themselves in the world of the Arctic. But what I loved even more than like their personal stories and their personal ties to their studies and the importance of these studies was just the way the filming crew approached the particular Arctic region in general. I'm a sucker for documentaries like Blue Planet, Life, all of those very National Geographic styled documentaries. And this one fits right in. So many absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous shots of wildlife, of landscape. I mean, it really does feel like an Arctic centric Blue Planet that you're watching. Like these shots from overhead of these polar bears loping across the ice. You've got shots of these huge whales that are mammoth sized, but that look so small just because they're being shot in these huge expanses of pitch black water. I mean, It's a beautiful film to look at. I mean, really, like the stark color difference too, like those deep dark blues that are almost black, of the water against the like bright sparkling white of the snow and the ice. It's just gorgeous. So if you love beautiful things, if you like documentaries that are styled much more like National Geographic, pretty traditional sort of documentary films, but ones that do also tie a human element to things, because, like I said, we've got the stories of those scientists and explorers that are intermingled amidst these shots of nature. Definitely check out Wonders of the Arctic. It's on CleveNet Overdrive. Excellent documentary. Okay, moving right along to our Hoopla digital recommendations. My first pick from Hoopla is for a quick documentary called Shades of Winter Between. Now, this one was a little different from the films that I usually watch, uh, in that it is a action sports documentary feature film. Uh, if you had told me that phrase prior to me watching this, I would have had no idea what you were talking about. But this one is a documentary that follows these, I guess, extreme winter sport participants, and it just sort of follows them, their journeys, and what life looks like to them as they're going through these extreme sports. And let me tell you how awesome this was. I will never, ever, like, freestyle ski down a what looks like probably 80-degree mountain slope, but I got to feel like I did. um, it's this is just really such a cool experience video film. um Imagine like the YouTube 360-degree videos that so many people put up and watch now, but filmed professionally, with a much more focused storytelling path. I mean, we follow these people whose lives they've chosen themselves to put at great risk just to get these thrills, these highs that you absolutely will get when you do these crazy dangerous sports. And I've got to say, after watching this, while I would never personally do it because I'm a total coward when it comes to things like that, I understand a little bit more. Like, when you see what the world looks like from their perspective, and you really do get shots that are extraordinarily well filmed, that make you feel like you're going down a ludicrously steep mountain, that you're surfing through icy cold waters, that you're adventuring in a way that you probably wouldn't on a normal basis. It's really something else. It is filmed in 4K, so if you have a 4K capable television, this will be absolutely perfect. But even if you don't, it's gorgeous. I mean, I flipped it on, I think, probably just on my old LED 1080p TV, and I still felt like I was right there. Um, the the filming is really fascinating to me, how everything looked. You get, of course, like the wide shots, so you see from a distance while someone is, participating in whatever activity that they are going through, but then you get that point of view shot too. And to have both looking as incredible as they do, I've not experienced that as a video watcher before. So if you like things that are exciting, if you like extreme sports, if you like snowboarding, skiing, all freestyled, of course, if you love uh, really beautiful nature, and if you are interested in new ways of filming, please check out Shades of Winter Between. I'm really excited that I did. I'm definitely going to be looking for more documentary films that are filmed this way, just because it was such an experience to actually watch it. Okay. My second hoopla recommendation is called Alone Across the Arctic. And this documentary follows the explorer and writer Adam Schultz as he traverses across the wilderness of the remote Canadian North for 4,000 kilometers all by himself with just like his standard survival gear and a canoe. Now, this was definitely one of those documentaries that I went in thinking I was getting, probably a pretty straightforward experience documentary and came out of it with something entirely different. It's a documentary that ends up feeling like a total feature film. I mean, it's exciting in parts. There are definitely harrowing moments where you really do worry that something bad is going to happen, and that they just didn't report it. It's If you've ever watched the Bear Grylls TV show, like this documentary is Bear Grylls to the nth degree. I mean, I know that Grylls does like incredibly insane, crazy things, but this somehow feels more real. And I don't know if it's the way that it's filmed. I don't know if it's because you really do get that sense of isolation that he must have felt as well, traversing across this, like, what seems to be in some places absolutely terrifying terrain all by himself. But that isolated feeling really comes across so well, and it really really feels like you're watching, a standard movie, like one that somebody penned a script to, and he's just following the script, except he's not, and that's what makes it even more gripping. Um, like I said, there are truly harrowing moments. There are a couple of like gross out moments too, where you will definitely cringe. Nothing particularly graphic. It's just one of those where you definitely feel sympathy for what he's going through. Um, it just really is an excellent documentary that makes you feel a part of his journey. So, if you are interested in first person accounts of exploration, if you like adventure, if you like action, because there's tons of it, if you just enjoy a really, really well done film that has a full story, 100% recommend Alone Across the Arctic. It's exciting, it's inspiring, it's enlivening. Excellent movie. All right, so my last two recommendations both come from our Canopy service, and the first of those two is for a documentary called Ice Guardians Hockey Enforcers. Now, it's a little bit different from all of the other recs I've made so far today. It's also about a topic that is not normally in my repertoire. Uh, I'm generally not a big sports person. Uh, I know next to nothing about ice hockey, but I do have strong ice hockey winter connotations. Maybe it's because of Mighty Ducks. I don't know, but I definitely, it's the sport I think of the most when I think of the winter season. That's why this particular documentary caught my eye, and honestly, I'm so glad it did, because truthfully, of all of the documentaries and films that I watched this week, this is the one that I've been thinking of the most since watching. Uh, it follows sort of the controversial position, I guess controversial. Again, I don't know too much about hockey, but I definitely think I might look into it more because this is a fascinating topic to me. This particular film focuses in on the controversial position of ice hockey enforcer. Um, the fact that there is a position on a team of a guy who is essentially going to physically rough up members of the other team is fascinating to me. And while I was watching this, listening to the stories of the people who actually play ice hockey, the stories of these guys who are chosen to be these enforcers. It's a fascinating, fascinating situation. Like most of these guys, when they were kids, that is not the position they were looking for. They just wanted to play hockey, you know? They just wanted to play this sport. It had nothing to do with being able to throw some guy up against the wall or hit him with your sticks or throw him to the ice. It had nothing to do with that. It just was about this fairly simple goal of hitting a puck into the other team's goal to score points. That's really all these guys wanted. And a lot of them got recruited into these positions simply because they fit a look, they fit a particular type. And when you hear these guys talking about the preconceived notions of who they must be because they are a hockey enforcer, um, whether it be from the team itself or from fans or from just random people, it's it's really quite emotional to hear them speak about these moments in their lives, like and they do get, you know, caught up in telling their story. um a lot of these guys have had to fight to keep these particular positions, even if they're positions that they don't necessarily want or didn't start out wanting. And then there's some who embraced it, you know. And then it also talks about, I guess, old school ice hockey and how this position of enforcer was just not a thing. It was much more of a gentleman's game, and how they're super anti enforcer. It's just a really fascinating sport history. I mean, things that I would never have guessed were part of this particular sport's backstory come out and start to unravel as you watch it. And it was just a really cool learning experience simply because, one, the human element is so strong in this. It's impossible not to feel for some of these guys. It's impossible not to feel connected to some of them, especially when they talk about their families and, you know, how they're just normal people who happen to have this really rough sort of image. It's just a fascinating, fascinating film. Um, so if you're looking for something that will potentially open your eyes, if you were like me and know very little about ice hockey, or even if you are an ice hockey fan, I think this film is incredibly fascinating because it sheds so much light and gives such a personal viewpoint into this particular position in the sport. So definitely make sure you check out Ice Guardians, Hockey Enforcers. Fascinating film, definitely worth the watch. And that brings me to my very last recommendation of the week, which is another documentary called Drums of Winter. Now, this is a feature-length documentary film that explores the dance, music, and spiritual world of the, I want to get this right, Yupik Eskimo people of a remote village that's based at the mouth of the Yukon River in the Bering Strait coast, in the Bering Sea coast. Now, in general, I find stories about Indigenous um, people to be absolutely fascinating simply because it's a history that I never learned about in school. So all of my experiences from independent study or from documentary films. And this group of people, this group of Eskimos are so tied to their ancestors and these traditional rites and the traditional music. It's just so beautiful. um it This film in particular really dives into some of the traditional ceremonies that they participate in, uh, but also it gives a real face to these practices. Like, why do they have these particular um, drum dances? Why do they continue to follow them. What is the purpose of these ties? And when you listen to people speak about what is so important about, ties to ancestors and things like that, for me anyway, it really makes me think about my own ancestral background and, how it is important to know where you came from, and it is important to hold those ties close. So, watching this, hearing sort of this fascinating beat come to life, um, it's quite something else. If you're looking for a film that really explores, ties to ancestors, if you're looking for a film about a people that you might not know very much about, if you're looking for a film that will definitely expand your horizons, please, please, please check out Drums of Winter. It is a small film that feels big, if that makes any sense at all. Like, it's about a small topic and about a small group of people, but it feels very universal. So, Drums of Winter, also available on Canopy. Incredible, incredible documentary. Please check it out. So, with that, I am done with this week's recommendations for winter-centric films. I hope you will check them out. I hope if you get the chance to watch any of them, they do sort of turn your feelings about winter around. Or if you really love winter, I hope these help to continue broadening your love for the season. Um, if you have any recommendations for films that you think others should be watching, please comment, let us know below. I always love finding new movies to check out. If you have any recommendations for future themes, please comment and let us know that as well. I'm always looking for new ideas on that front. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for this week. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Bye.